Welcome to part 6 of how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! This video is going to be about tournament etiquette, how you should act and what you should bring for tournaments. When you play Yu-Gi-Oh! For a considerable amount of time and you want to play with more people and learn more, you go to tournaments. Tournaments isn't just for going and winning and getting boosters and packs. Tournaments are very much about learning and finding out what other people play and how they play, and learning more about the rules and intricate little details about the game that you can't really find out unless you dive headfirst into it. I will retread some of my points from previous videos in this video, especially points made in the previous part 5 video. However, I feel these videos should remain separate as well as integrated, so I'm going to cover some old ground along with a lot of new ground. So what should you bring to a tournament? Well, first off, you should bring your 40 card minimum deck with current ban restriction list compliance. What I mean by that is if you go to yu-gi-oh-card.com, which is the official Yu-Gi-Oh! Website through Konami, they do have a listing of a ban restriction list that 99% of stores and tournaments run. This is going to be your common list that you're going to have to abide by. So cards like Change of Heart and Graceful Charity, you're not going to be able to use those. Also, if you use an extra deck or built a side deck, make sure to bring those. They're not necessary for you to be able to sit and play a game, but with some decks, extra decks are almost necessary, and a side deck, you'll find out, is very useful. Have a method to keep track of your life points as well as your opponents. This can be with a calculator, with an iPod, with an application on your iPod, or just straight out pen and paper. And sometimes pen and paper is the best method because you can see going down what damage was dealt, how it was dealt, and to who. And you can backtrack if there's some sort of issue between the two of you. If there's a discrepancy between your life points, you can discuss it by looking at the pen and paper. Most judges and tournaments will actually concede to pen and paper over a calculator, as it does show a progression. Come with a basic understanding of the rules. No one's going to expect you to know every little detail about every deck and every card, but they will need you to know the basics of the game. When you can summon, when you can special summon, play a spell, activate a trap. Just the core basics are what you're going to need to bring. Lastly, make sure to bring money if for entry fee for the tournament, or for snacks and drinks, and make sure to bring your own snacks and drinks. If you're going to a tournament, you're gonna be there for 3 to 4 hours minimum usually. So bring something that's going to occupy your time if you feel you're going to be sitting in between tournaments for an extended period of time without playing many people. Or bring snacks or sodas or drinks or something to eat and enjoy yourself. You're there to enjoy yourself, so might as well make yourself more comfortable. So what are the etiquette rules? Arrive 15 to 20 minutes before the tournament is scheduled to start. This is very important. It gives the organizer time to begin the tournament on time. If everyone shows up at 11 when the tournament is supposed to begin, the tournament organizer is going to have a lot of people backlogged. The tournament organizer is going to need a lot of time to get them all organized, and then it's going to take probably another half hour total from 11 to 11:30 to actually get the tournament started. This also allows you time to meet and greet. This is part of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is meeting new people, making new friends, and making new connections. It's part of the game. It's part of the environment. This also gives you time to trade and finalize your deck. You may sit down and realize you only have 39 viable cards and are going to need to trade or take something out of your binder to fill in that spot. Also, if you need a card for your deck, you can try and trade it, or if you just enjoy trading and socializing with people that way, then do it. You may also need time to fill out a deck list. Bigger tournaments or bigger tournament stores will oftentimes have you fill out a deck list. This way, they can check the deck list and make sure it's legal. They can also argue any discrepancies between what you start off playing in case there's a valid reason for someone to call cheating on another player, and they might get a game loss because of that. A deck list is very important for big tournaments. Familiarize yourself with the judge. The judge is not your enemy. The judge is there to make sure everyone enjoys themselves and has fun. He's only there to make sure people don't get angry or upset during the tournament because of rulings. Show your opponent respect. Everyone is there to enjoy themselves. Remember that. You're there to enjoy yourself. They're here to enjoy themselves. Show your opponent decent respect and common courtesy. A handshake, greeting, this is my name, what is your name? Can we trade after this? How long have you been playing? Just make sure you treat them as anyone else would want to be treated. They're your opponent, but not your enemy. Be respectful, but not a pushover. If you're overly respectful, some people with, say, a lesser reputable reputation, I understand what I just said, they may take advantage of that. Also, there are things that are signs of respect to your opponent, but also keep yourself safe in a game that are common practice at tournaments. After shuffling your own deck before a game, it is often customary to offer your deck to your opponent to shuffle or cut. This is to make sure people don't stack their deck, which is actually very easy if you take 10-15 minutes to learn, but is also easy to disarm if your opponent cuts and shuffles. Ask to read a card if you don't recognize it, but do not touch another player's card without asking first. That can be seen as incredibly rude, and some people take it very personally that you're touching their cards before actually asking. However, if you look at them and ask, "Can I read this card?" most people are just going to say yes and allow you to. It's very simple. And if you don't recognize the card, just read it. And make sure to read it thoroughly. Some people will only try and glaze over it, get a basic understanding, and will therefore misinterpret it and might end up costing them a match. Check your opponent's hand when applicable. When a card effect makes your opponent search or destroys certain cards in your opponent's hand, you are allowed to check their hand or the searched card. For instance, if I play a card that allows me to search for a Dark Fiend type monster from my deck and add it to my hand, then after I'm done searching my deck and I take the card, I must then show it to you as proof that that is the card in question. Make sure that you ask them before they actually add it to their hand. There are some people who use tricks and already have cards like that in their hand to show you so that they could search for something else entirely different. It is a little tricky and underhanded, so make sure you are vigilant. That is the final rule. Be vigilant. Don't be rude. Don't call them a liar. But be vigilant. You are a player and you deserve as much respect as you give them. So they should be able to show you just as much respect back by following the rules, showing you their cards, and offering to cut their deck. If you're unsure about a ruling, ask or call the judge. He's there to do that exact job. You're clarifying for your own knowledge, and you're not calling your opponent a liar by doing such. Some people carry that mentality, especially when they first begin playing Yu-Gi-Oh! What you're doing is you're learning how the game works and how different cards interact with one another, and the judge is there to help with that understanding. Also, the judge is fallible like anyone else. As a judge, yes, I am fallible. If you believe the judge is mistaken, ask him to explain. Most card rulings can be explained out very well. Sometimes they can be equated to other cards that you might have better knowledge about. There are many card effects that are actually very similar to one another. One golden rule though, if the judge rules, you accept it respectfully. The judge is the judge for a reason. He's proven to at least someone there at the store or someone at Konami that he has a good understanding of the rules and how the game works. He is there to make sure you guys have a good time, and he's not there to stiff you over. If he looks at you after you question him, or even if you didn't question him, and says, "This is the way this card works, I rule that this happens," then you accept it respectfully. Just know that you don't know everything, he doesn't know everything. If you come back later and say, "I found out that you're wrong," then the judge is going to eat that. That hurts his credibility, yes. But you've helped him learn. And if you find out you're wrong, then you learn something from the judge. There's no need to apologize. The judge is there to clarify things. Everyone from a beginning skill level to an advanced skill level has questions about rulings and how cards interact. When there are thousands of cards, you cannot predict how every single card is going to act with one another. The worst thing you can do is get into a full-blown argument or yelling match with the judge. The judge's ruling is final. Every store knows this. So if you start yelling at the judge has the ability to kick you out of the tournament. The store owner, if you continue, may indeed kick you out of the store. It's not something that happens very often, but it's something to keep in mind. If you get into an argument, first off, you're no longer having fun, are you? You're just trying to prove your point. You should be there to have fun and enjoy yourself. And when you get into an argument with someone who is in charge, there's something wrong with your mentality there. You need to take a step back, breathe, and realize you are playing a children's card game. Lastly, and very important to keep in mind when you go to a tournament, understand that you will lose. Everyone who's played Yu-Gi-Oh! Casually or seriously has lost. No one has a perfect record. Even people who say end up 4-0 at the end of a tournament, they may have lost a round in between all of those matches. Many of them do. What you need to know is when you lose, you need to learn from it, you need to adjust from it, and let it drive you to play better. If you lost because this deck and this deck were giving you trouble, then you might look into what weaknesses in your deck they were able to take advantage of, or what strengths you were unable to overcome, and build your deck respectfully, or build or alter your side deck. Always know when you go, you will lose. You will not win every tournament. It'll feel fantastic when you do, but it won't always happen. You should be going there to enjoy yourself, to have fun, to meet new people, and to learn. The biggest thing is you need to learn from every experience at a tournament. A tournament is a great way to learn. And if you want to pick the judge's brain about some things here and there, say what card would help with this, or what cards are in general do you enjoy? You know, what decks have you seen around here? Just talk to them. You'd be surprised how often a judge enjoys just talking to other players. He's there ruling over other games and very rarely gets to play. So if someone wants to interact with him and just have a conversation about the game that he obviously loves as well, he'll be more than happy to open up to you and give you lots of free advice. Take advantage of that when it happens. I'm Goggle Candy, and thank you for joining me for another part of How to Play Yu-Gi-Oh!